Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Barsky. This is the fourth episode of Knitting with Sam Barsky. So, what I'm wearing today, as you can see, is the Eclipse sweater that I made this past summer. I made it for the solar eclipse that happened in August. That's one of the most memorable events of last year. And then today what I'm working on is a pinball machine sweater. So anyway, to talk about my past week, in addition to the actual knitting that I did, and I'm going to say hi to everyone who's greeting me online right now. So anyway, last week, Thursday morning, I had an interview on a Baltimore radio station called 98 Rock. It was the second time I had been interviewed by them. One of the morning show hosts is my former elementary school classmate. So I had interviewed on that same station about a year ago from now. It was really nice having a reunion with one of my former classmates. And then they invited me back last week, so I came on the air Thursday morning. The interview is still available online. You can listen to it. It's on my Facebook page. I posted it Thursday afternoon. If you look through my timeline or on my artistic knitting page, you could see it there. So for those, or you could just go to 98online.com or 98 Rock Baltimore, Google 98 Rock Baltimore, and you can find it, and it should be on the website somewhere if you want to listen to it. So they had asked me about some of the sweaters I had made in the last year, and the one that they seemed to get most excited about, which I'm not surprised about at all, was the one that I'm wearing now, the Eclipse. So much that one of the hosts put it on and took a picture together with me. So one of the reasons why I made a point of bringing it up and why I brought it there is because it happened to be my most popular post on my personal page. I think it got the boost because the Eclipse was so popular. That's my theory about it. It got over 2,000 likes. So I decided to wear it today. I'm also wearing it today for another reason. As I start knitting, I'll telling you. Because one of the things I do on this show is I knit for everyone to see. So I'm going to knit about 18 stitches here as I continue to tell you everything. There is going to be a lunar eclipse this week. A lunar eclipse is not the same as a solar eclipse. It will just result in the moon looking a little different, a little interesting. So it's going to be one morning this week. I figure I would wear it today in honor of that. I'm probably going to sleep through it and just look at pictures of it. I don't feel like getting up early in the morning when I have to give another presentation on Wednesday to see that, but it is interesting though. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I have 2 more stitches, and then I'm going to introduce a new yarn here. So this is the pinball machine. As you see at the bottom, it has the flippers. Those white things are the flippers. And then it has, in purple and silver, bumpers that you find in every machine. This is the back of it I'm working on. As you see, most of the background of it is blue. When I do the front, I'm going to make most of it in white. I think that will make it really neat. So I'm going to introduce a bumper over here. So what I'm going to do is insert the needle into the yarn over here. This is the purple feeder yarn here. I'm going to drape that over, leave about 5-6 inches hanging, and complete the stitch with it. Then I'm going to, for stitch number 2, go under the blue with the purple, take the tail, go on top of this purple here, cross it over, and then I knit stitch number 2, and then stitches number 3 and 4. I'm going to start it off with 4 stitches. That's what makes good looking bumpers. And then I'm going to estimate how much I'll need. So each bumper has 32 stitches. So I'm going to allow for 3 needle lengths of this, break it off, and then I'm going to knit up to the middle of here. So right now this is stitch number 22, but I forgot. I'm going to do a little twining where I carry this across. So I'm going to do this over again. So the blue goes across, knit stitch number 2. This is easy to forget this step when you're doing it this way. Across and 3. Oops, this didn't come up. And then the blue goes across and then stitch number 4. So now we're going to go up to the midpoint of this. So that would be stitch number 43. So I'm going to knit 21 more stitches in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. The way I got 21, I'll explain this. There are 90 stitches across, which means if you want to get something in the exact middle of it, you have to get it onto the 2 stitches onto 45 and 46. And that means 2 more stitches onto 44 and 47. So it's 44 through 47 if you want to get 4 stitches right in the middle. So that's 43 stitches up until then. So here we did 18, 4 more, that's 22, and then 21 more, that's 43, and then this is stitch number 44 will be next. So I'm going to take the purple yarn again, take a tail of about 5-6 inches, insert the needle into the blue stitch, drape it over, complete the stitch with the purple, and then for stitch number 2, I'm going to, like I did before, take the purple under the blue, take the tail on top of the purple, and then I'm going to knit stitch number 2 in purple. Then I'm going to take the blue over here, cross it over the purple that carries it across the bumper, and then knit stitch number 3, and then I'm going to take the tail, take the blue, cross it over the bumper once again, over the yarn, the purple yarn, and then there's stitch number 4 of the bumper, and then we do another 21 stitches like before because it's symmetrical on each side in this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So there's the exact opposite of here. So to get enough, so we need some more purple yarn. So from here we're going to do this. So 3 lengths of the purple here. Break it off. Normally I would recommend cutting, but I like to break yarn when it's possible to do so with my bare hands. I do that quite a lot. So here I'm going to drape this over again and complete the stitch, and then do stitch number 2. The purple goes under the blue, the tail crosses over the feeder of the purple, same way as before. Stitch number 2 in purple, and then blue crosses over the purple, stitch number 3, and then the blue crosses over and stitch number 4. And then I'm just going to go to the end in the blue. And since I don't need much more purple, after I complete this row, I'm going to go all the way to the end in the blue, and then I'll start a second row out of it, And then I'll explain where you can watch my show, because this is still something I'm trying to work out. So I'm going to just finish this off. So 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 needle lengths of this. And someone is asking if I write them down or if I just do them out of my mind. And that's one of my most frequently asked questions. So the answer is I do them out of my mind. I don't use patterns or graphs for anything or charts. I freehand everything. So this purple yarn will be used for something later, for some more bumpers at a later time. I just completed row number 101 over here. I had gotten up to row 100 yesterday. I went to my full Sunday worth of knitting. I got 36 stitches done, 36 rows done on here. And then that's almost if it were a short sleeve sweater, that would be 1/10 of the sweater. Of course, because this is long sleeves, it's a lot less of it, but it's pretty close. It's a pretty high percentage of it. It's more like 7 or 8% of it, I would say. So it's about 1/12 of the sweater done in one day. So now this is the first time I actually worked earlier today on some of the ribbing of the other side to get a head start on that. And now I'm on row 102. It's going to have 160 rows to the top. So what I'm going to do, here's the purple and here's the blue. You probably can't tell the difference between these colors too well on the screen, but it happens to be this stitch is purple, this stitch is blue. I'm going to stop 1 stitch shy of the purple on here because it's going to be 6 stitches across for this purple. So I'm going to do one nice thing, if you have these fragments of yarn here that you're using that have just enough for what you need, is you can pull it out and that untangles it automatically. So it's 6 stitches, 1, and I'm crossing the blue over the purple. The purple goes under the blue before each purple stitch to carry the blue across, which is a more efficient way of doing it. That means I won't have to make fragments of the blue as well. And here's the stitch that goes on top of the first purple stitch, and it has a tail, so the tail crosses over here, and then we're going to knit this one in purple. It locks it in. I always teach that to everyone. So the purple goes under the stitch finally, pull it free, and then knit stitch number 6, and then we can purl down to 1 stitch before the next bumper in purple. Actually purl down, that is. So anyway, as I'm working on this, I discovered last week that on Instagram, I thought I could just transfer all my videos to Instagram. On Instagram, unless you're recording live, which I haven't figured out how to do on that, you can only do a video up to 1 minute. So it's been recording the first minute of every episode of my show. So what I'm going to do, I've been transferring all my shows onto YouTube. So my first 3 episodes are on YouTube now, and what I'm going to do is put links to each episode on the Instagram video. So if you're on Instagram and you're looking for a video, you can then find the YouTube link and go to that. So it's just like before, the purple under the blue, and the same for each stitch here. So the way I'm making the shape of these bumpers is I'm doing 1 row of 4, 4 rows of 6, and then another row of 4. So here's another tail. I'm crossing it over to lock it in place as I purl the purple on top of the blue, and then here's 1 more purple stitch here, and then it's going to be more purling of the blue down to here. So the 4 places where I have my show available and the episodes available to watch permanently are my personal page, where you're seeing it live now, my artistic knitting page, which I transfer it to very soon after I finish recording this. I have it on YouTube, and I'm going to have the links to it on Instagram, where right now I just have the first minute of everything. And it might take time to upload it to YouTube, because given the length of these, each episode is close to half an hour long. It takes a long time to upload that to YouTube. I have to do it from the Google videos, because I can't just do it straight from my device, a video that long. So here, the final bumper here, the purple goes under the blue. It's a little tangled, but I'm going to get through this row before I work on untangling it. And each one of these should be pretty easy to untangle. Here's the final lock-in. I'm taking this tail and crossing it on top of the purple here. And then I'll pull it tight after the stitch, like this. Not too tight, but just gently tight. And finally, the last stitch here. And then it's just blue to the end of the row. And then we'll have 102 rows. And then I'll do a little more for you on the show. So my works in progress right now are this, the pinball machine. I have the Rubik's Cube sweater, which I've done in a previous episode. And I have something, I'm going to start something soon. I found out about the Ravelry Olympics. It's called something else because they had copyright issues with using the word Olympics in the name of that at all, in any form, so they came up with another name for it. I don't even know what that is, but whatever it's called, I want to participate in it. I got information how to do so, and I have to come up with a quickie sweater because it has to be done in 2 weeks. So I'm going to make some kind of sweater on size 11 needles. Maybe of some place that I want to go in the near future, or some place around here, some landmark, something that I can pose in front of, or some other common object, like I've been doing Rubik's Cube and pinball machine, maybe something else like that. I'm going to think of a design I might want to do, and then I'm going to work on it with thick yarn, size 11 needles, where I've done plenty of sweaters in under 2 weeks using that size. That way I can qualify to be in it. I don't care if I win a prize or not or anything. I just want to feel like I participated in it. Here I'm getting this untangled. The purple is stuck to the blue, so what I'm trying to do here is to figure out how they're stuck together, and then I pull it loose. There, I got it untangled. Everything is... And then there's another purple here tangled onto it. This yarn sticks together very easily. It's all the same brand. It's a line of Barocco yarn, and I got it many years ago at a sale, and I got it with intending to use it for a pinball machine project, which is why I'm doing a pinball machine out of it. Because this was my original intention, and I thought it's something... I came across the yarn while sorting out my stash, and I thought, why don't I do that now, finally, after all these years? So now I've gotten all that free. My next step after this would be to find a large pinball machine in town where I can pose in front of it wearing this. Where maybe the owner of the arcade or whatever the venue is would let me do this. I'm sure I can find that pretty easily. I do have a tiny tabletop pinball machine at home. I can use that too if need be. But I'd rather use an arcade style pinball one. That looks real and more genuine. So now to row 103, which will be halfway through this set of bumpers. Like I'm doing one set of bumpers every 10 rows. I'm going to do bumpers up to row 140, either in silver or purple, or I want to do one set of them in glow-in-the-dark yarn, which I used on my Hanukkah sweater for the candles. If anyone who watched my videos remembers, I've used them in a couple of other sweaters as well. So here, to the bumper, everything's going to be exactly the same as the previous row. See how I'm crossing the purple underneath the blue in order to carry the blue across. So this is the back I'm working on, as I've mentioned before. The front, I'm going to make it mainly white, where other colors would show up better on it. I think that would make it more interesting to have a different color on each side. I have plenty of white yarn, as you see here. I'll show you 1 second. Here I have several skeins of this in white, so I can do a lot of white. On the back, the flippers were in white. I'll do the score in white as well on something else, but on the front of it, I want to do the main part of it in white, and then the bumpers, I will do them in colors like blue and purple and burgundy, which I have this yarn in, and silver. The silver one I actually want to do on the front in 3 dimensions to crochet some bumpers with the minimal amount of crochet skills that I have, which I don't have a lot of. So as you see, this row is just like the previous row. So the most interesting thing, if you're trying to learn any skills from me on this show, on this episode, is you're getting to see how I carry this yarn across. This will give you a lot of experience watching that. So the purple goes under the blue. Here's a stitch. Under the blue again. Here's another stitch. 3, 4. Like it's long now, but it's going to get shorter the more stitches that are made. 5 and 6. So as you see how long this is, it's also better to have too much than too little. So you'd rather overestimate than underestimate the amount of it. So now it's going to be blue down to the next bumper. And that'll be the final bumper of this row. And then I'll do a purl row in them, which everything will be exactly the same. It's 6 bumper rows in all, as I mentioned before. And then 4 rows of solid blue, no color changes. As you see, once again, I'm switching the color of this around. I'm pulling the purple under the blue for every stitch of purple in order to carry the blue across. This is one of the ways. Like when you do intarsia, you could either do this or you could just use different strands. That's what I do more often actually, but because this is like a little patch of it, that's how I'm doing it here. And someone is just asking me about the glow-in-the-dark yarn now. I wish I could recommend a place where to get it, but the store I got it from is no longer in existence. I got it there like many years ago, and the only advice that I have to get some now is to Google it or look it up on maybe a site like Amazon or something maybe has it. Just Google glow-in-the-dark yarn and see who carries it. None of the local yarn shops I know now have it. And here's row 104. So this coming Wednesday this week, 2 days from now, I'm going to be doing a presentation at an assisted living facility. I'm going to be bringing in a whole bunch of my sweaters there. Not too few and not too many. I'm thinking of maybe 2 boxes full at the most, because I don't want to do too much that it's more than what the people with their attention span there can handle. But I want it to be enough that people get excited over it. And I know I have a lot of fans there in this place. And it won't be my first assisted living presentation. I gave a presentation this past summer at an assisted living facility in Las Vegas, and I really enjoyed doing that. And having previously worked in my life, before I was a knitter, beforehand I worked in nursing homes and assisted living facilities and places like that. That was the kind of work I did when I was in college, when I was studying to be a nurse at the time. So it's the kind of place I can very much relate to, and I enjoy doing them from time to time at these places, with showing the elderly people there my sweaters that I've done, my works in progress, everything you name it like that. And a lot of the people there themselves are knitters, so it's something they can relate to a lot. So that's coming up on Wednesday afternoon. So as I'm working my way through the second of 3 bumpers here. This will be bumper row number 4. This will be the last row I do on the show today. Tomorrow, normally on Tuesday, I go to one of my favorite knitting groups in town. It's one that's about 35 minutes from home, but it's worth it to me to drive that far because it's a group of very nice people. It meets at a cafe. But I don't know if I'll be able to go tomorrow morning because they're predicting snow in the forecast for tonight, overnight, which might lead to cancellations and delays tomorrow morning, which the Mid-Atlantic region is notorious for. Here's the final bumper, and as I showed you before, I cross under the purple under the blue for each stitch. And this purple feels like it's getting shorter and a lot more manageable with each passing stitch. After all, it takes almost an inch to make a stitch of it on size 9 needles like I'm using. I'll tell you more about the Olympics thing. It's like, since the Olympics are coming up very soon, which I'm excited about, and I made the ice skating sweater for the Olympics. Some of you may remember I was working on the ice skating sweater. The one thing the Olympics do is they give me plenty of time to knit while I watch them. In the 2002 Olympics, I made a sweater depicting a lot of skiers on it, inspired by the skiers I was seeing in the Olympics. That was quite exciting, and it motivated me to knit fast. It was a very hard yarn to work with, very hard to dig into each stitch of it, which you would think that would make it go slower, but I was so excited about it, it became a record for the fastest adult-sized sweater I had made as of that day, and it remained a personal record for almost 10 years. So here's the outcome of it. You can see the beginnings of these bumpers. So here it looks like just like a real pinball machine. It has these gutters where a ball can sneak down when you lose it. Just like that, when you have no control, no way to stop it from going down. And here are the flippers, and of course there's space between the flippers. On the front, I'm going to try to make a lot less space. That is more like a realistic pinball machine. And the balls are also going to be in silver, but I think I'm going to crochet some of them, make them 3D. And on the sleeves, I'm going to put on one of the sleeves the handle that you pull to release a ball, and a few balls here. And on the top, like around here, there will be a score. As to what that score will be, I think I'm going to try to figure out at random what it'll be. I'll just randomly select a 5-digit number, and that will be the number. So, anyway, I'm going to show you a couple, since I was going to end the show now, but since I had a couple of people join, I'm going to show you the ice skating sweater that I talked about. So once more, here's my ice skating sweater. Since I talked about the Olympics, I might as well show it. These are different skaters in different positions, wearing different color outfits. And then on the other side, here are more skaters doing all kinds of interesting things, dancing together. One is swinging another. I thought that would make it more interesting. And there you go. So, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure. Until next time. Bye everyone.